there's a point where I feel like there has to be some structure. I think you would agree with that. It can't be completely disorganized or too relaxed, because then nothing happens. It's chaos.
Yeah.
Versus being highly structured. So, like, I guess the next thing that I was going to say that Keenan was bringing about that ruffled some people the wrong way was that he was going to, I guess a lot of schools, particularly the Gracie Baja schools, they're very strict on the uniform requirements. You have to buy the uniform.
We are too.
Yeah, you have to buy the uniform from them. It has to have the patch of this. You can't bring in other keys or whatnot. So then Keenan's going the other way, saying that I'll buy your geese from other schools or whatnot and give you one, or we'll donate these to charity. He doesn't care, right? So he's saying just come in with whatever. I might be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but
that's what I saw something somewhere.
Yeah, I saw something
that's
to
what
that
I got from
understanding.
it.
It wasn't a strict gi policy, and there was something about buyback, and I think they were going to give it to charity or something, right? So again, a lot of people like the idea of that because as a consumer, more freedom, great.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I can do whatever I want. As a business owner, I see that not so great, right?
Yeah.
One, you're losing revenue by not getting your geese out there. Two, when people are wearing other people's uniform, they're marketing for them.
Yeah.
Right? Not good for me, right? Like
for anyone. You're marketing someone that doesn't do anything for anyone.
Yeah, exactly. Technically, they're not doing anything for you, right? Because you're training at this gym, you know? So it doesn't make sense there, too. And then three, there's like a lack of uniformity where everybody's wearing different stuff. You're wearing a white gi, I'm wearing a blue gi. You have like a, Zenith Jiu-Jitsu patch. I have whatever Caesar Gracie thing. Like, from the outside perspective, someone comes in, it's like, what's going on? It looks like chaos, Versus when everybody's wearing the same uniform,
it's different.
Or at least it's a structure, like white belts wear this, and it makes sense. And I've been on both sides of this, right? Like when my brother and I started our gym, Freestyle Fighting Academy, back in 2001, we weren't ranked at all. I was 19, my brother was 20, and we ran it like a fight club. There was no uniform. You just come in whatever the hell you want, And people ask, what rank are you? I'm like, I don't have a rank. And they're like, oh, my cousin's a brown belt. I guess he could beat you. And that's why we like, we sparred that. I think I said that. Right? We sparred day one, and we tried to kick you in the head and all that, right? But so when there was no rank, there was no uniform, there was nothing. It's chaos. And people from the outside, they're looking, they're like, who's the coach? Because everybody's it doesn't look uniform, So there is, to me, a value in having that hierarchy in that organization, and part of having a hierarchy is uniform. Right? Like, people don't like hearing the C word, which is cult. Right? But jiu-jitsu is a cult. Whether you like it or not. The cult has a negative connotation to it. Call it tribe. Same thing.
I mean, football fans are too.
Yeah.
It's a social. It's a piece of social glue. That's all it is. It bonds people because we have a common rituals, common beliefs, common goals.
Yeah.
So therefore, we have common ideas. We band together.
You're right. And there are certain devices that are used by groups, cults, tribes, whatever you want to call them.
Religion,
right?
Politics.
And if you study them, there are certain things that all make them work.
Yeah.
And one of them is, of course, hierarchy. There has to be a ranking structure to know who is responsible for what or who has, certain power or whatnot. And in jiu-jitsu and in martial arts, we use belts, right? Like you said, if you're in a religion, you have the pastor, you have the priest, and, archbishop. But there's different ranks, right? And that's one of the things of being part of the membership. The other thing is uniform, right? Yeah. Same thing, if you look at religion, they have different attire depending on what station they're at. In Jiu-Jitsu is your belt. If you go like Freemasons and all that, they have different badges or different things they wear. So like, it's part of the identity of the group, right? And when there isn't established identity, then you don't really know where you are.
It's like it becomes herding cats.
Yeah.
And I think what's going to happen is, because I was exactly like this when I first started. When I opened my gym, if you hadn't mentioned uniforms, curriculums, hierarchy, like any of these things, I'm like, get out of here, man. I was more like an anarchist. Like, I just like, as long as like everyone's on the mats training, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And I had to learn the hardest way possible that it does matter. Because people like structure. People like systems. People like hierarchies. They like, and I will tell you, man, like when people walk in, new students walk in, they see everyone in uniform, it's a wrap. They're sold because it shows them exactly what they're looking for. So, people might be in the impression that people like walking in the gym and I want to have whatever I want. It doesn't work. Like, I've tried it. It doesn't. And not only that, everyone prefers a uniform. Like, look, for the school owner, you're making more money.
Yeah.
And you're giving people the structure they want. People are more likely to sign up, right? So from a business perspective, it's not even,
sense.
yes.
Yeah.
I thought, well, I'm going to lose half my students once I apply the uniform policy, right? Like, for sure, half my affiliates and half my students going to walk the window. We didn't lose a single one. And there's some people that complain, it's like, hey man, I let them wear their gi until, like, once your old gi dies and it's torn to shreds, then, you buy a uniform. Is that okay? Okay. And then that's the way I've been working. And the truth is, people like the uniform because it comes with a patch too. So you don't have to buying a patch and sew it on a patch is a pain in the butt. So that works well. And it's been very positive overall. Like, people actually, I find that people prefer that.
Sure.
And it's just like, another thing, there's one more thing I have to mention, because a lot of students don't realize, if you're just a practitioner, you don't realize this. Your coach does a lot for you that it goes well beyond the contract you signed. Now, every gym has a contract. If maybe your gym doesn't have a contract, but there's some kind of agreement. There's like an established expectation of what I do for you as a coach and what you do provide the gym as a member. Like, you pay me, I give you this, and that. And if you really that closely, what the gym promises you is basically class from 6 to 7 or whatever. I'm telling you, like, if I were to factor in the hours of work I put into my students where I wasn't on the clock, I mean, I'd be rich now. Like, I mean, the amount of work I have done for my students, and I never charge them for that. We're talking like coaching, we're talking them training on the side, we're talking, sometimes I drive to California, fly to, just for them. I'm not getting paid. But coaches do this stuff all the time for free. So when a student is adamant about not supporting the gym because he really wants to support Jeff Bezos and Amazon because I got to give that guy more money, not you, coach, right? That's the kind of student I don't even want, to be honest. You're not a team player. Like, if you're if you're really that serious about giving Amazon more money than your coach who's killing himself for you. And coaches don't make that much money. People think jiu-jitsu gyms are super profitable. They're not. Like, the reality on the ground is a lot harsher. It's not a walk in the park.
Most gyms have a hard time making money.
No, but okay, how many successful gyms are there?
No, for sure. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, most gyms have a hard time.
The reality is, like, it's super hard. So when your coach has like 50, 100 students, he's struggling, man. And you really want to give Amazon that money and not your coach? It's kind of like, almost like, you know what, man? Maybe you shouldn't be part of the team. That you're not a team player. If you're that serious about supporting someone else who does nothing for you. That's the thing. That's like my biggest thing is, like, this person or this brand you really want to represent is not sponsoring. They don't do anything for you.
Yeah.
Like, I go out of my way for you guys. Like, what is it about? What's the resistance? So I don't apologize for it. Like, I started that way exactly what Keenan thinks is that would have been me 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I changed my mind completely because it doesn't work.
Yeah, it's not as sustainable. And even, like, I think as far as even structuring it so that they have, like, fixed schedules and all that. Yeah. Like, I know a lot of gyms, they like saying just come whenever you want.
Yeah.
And to me, that's not a good thing for a variety of reasons. One, you don't know how big your class is going to become. Yeah. If people start moving on one day, one the other, then you have too many people in a class and you can't devote enough attention to them. That's a problem. The second thing is it's harder to create habits.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the biggest thing that we're combating as, being in the fitness space, which martial arts is establishing habits, right? Because essentially people, instead of coming to your class from, 6:30 to 8 or whatever, they're watching TV or they're doing something else. And it's probably not as good for them as training martial arts would be. And we have to replace that block of time where they're doing something that's not constructive with this. And it's more difficult because it's easy to sit on the couch, not easy to go drive to the gym, get your butt kicked, and then come back out. And to train them just to set that time on that one day or like 2 days, like Wednesday and Monday, it takes like weeks. Generally I think they say about 6 weeks to internalize a habit. And then when you say, well, you just come whenever you want, now they don't have to come to those days. So when I miss Wednesday, I'm like, oh, I'll come on Thursday. And then when Thursday comes,
that's a good point. I never thought about that.
I'll just come Friday. And then it just keeps procrastinating because you have this free will where they say, oh, I can come whenever I want, but it doesn't hold you accountable.
Tyranny of choice.
Yeah, absolutely. You have too many decisions to make, right?
And
as as a coach, you don't know who you're accountable for now, right? Because you're like, well, I don't have a roster because people come whenever they want. So if I don't see this guy come in on Wednesday, I guess he's going to come in some other day, But if I know, like, for our gyms, like we have the schedule, so I know, okay, these are the guys. This is my guy. He didn't show up today. I can follow up with them, text, call, whatever. So from the business end, I have accountability, and then from the student end, there's also accountability because he knows he's supposed to be there that day, right? And it's easier for him to make that habit to show up. So I do agree with you. Like, the structure is important. The uniform is important,
and people
coming in.
And people like it, man.
Yeah, and I think you're right. Like when you set it up, like in the beginning, everybody, especially if you're making a change.
Yes, people hate change.
It doesn't matter what it is. I could be saying, hey guys, everybody, we're going to give you brand new gis. You're like, oh god, but I like my old gi.
Yeah,
It's
will fight you over. They'll fight you over the most idiotic.
Yeah,
things.
everybody will resist the change. It's just a human tendency. There's
people like to complain.
Yeah,
complain is like it's entertaining for some people.
But it's just a tendency. Everybody's going to be scared or whatever, So even if it's good for them to change, and I, for the most part, as the coach, I feel that we have the most experience in the matter, so we're able to make the best decision in that regard, And like people say, oh, well, I don't like that coach. Well, then you find a new coach.
Yeah,
you got the choice to find someone who caters to your style. But I think if you get to start with a new foundation, that's the best time to lay out all the great, rules. So everybody coming in is already in court, and you don't have to make those changes midway.
Yeah.
Which are always a little rockier, know. So like a young guy like Keenan, I want his gym to be very successful. Yeah. I want him to do great, I
want everyone to be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, so I feel like while there's a good marketing approach to this, and he's going to get a lot of pats on the back from people. Yeah. That are not training with him.
He's shooting himself in the foot.
Right, because you're catering to it, like, at least, maybe I'm wrong, and hopefully I am, and it works out great for him. But a lot of people will tell you stuff online, like, oh, that's awesome. But again, most of those people already train somewhere. Yeah. And they're probably not in San Diego where you're going to be opening your gym. So while everybody's saying kudos, great job, like, those are not the people that you generally
How many people are going to leave their current gym for that, though? That's the other thing. Even some of the ones that aren't in San Diego, how many are going to leave their current gym? I mean, some of them are on the verge of leaving. They're going to leave for a different reason, regardless of uniforms. Right. But it sounds like I'm going to be the leader of the rebels. Let's start a revolution kind of thing. But I think long term, it's just it's not a good idea. Because I think the tendency, and this is where the sports have been going for years. All sports, they lean towards uniformization. They lean towards systems, rules, and it's just a natural tendency of sports. And martial arts, it's the same way. Jiu-Jitsu has always been a little behind, but it's catching up. And one thing that's been consistent throughout martial arts, BJJ at least, is that Gracie Barra has been leading the trends. And if you can take this back, Gracie Barra invented the affiliation system. Like, it doesn't exist in a lot of other, maybe other martial arts have it. I don't know. I wouldn't know. My suspicion is not very common, but Cornelius Gracie invented it when it was like he realized that Helio was very controlling. Helio was like, if we had it Helio Gracie's way, there would be no one teaching jiu-jitsu other than him. Right. He was like, no, you got to teach. So when Carlson opened his gym, that was a problem. When Holmes Gracie opened the gym, that was a problem. Every person that opened a gym that is outside of his gym became his competitor in some way, and he's a very controlling individual, right? And even though he played a very important role in development of jiu-jitsu and resisting judo, he at the same time, like, was not the right, like, it's like every phase needed the right person. The right person was there. Like, Cornelius Gracie was that guy. So I heard this story from Cornelius Gracie himself when we interviewed him for the documentary. And when Soka, which was one of the first ADCC champions, wanted to open a gym, I was like, Master Cornelius, I don't know how to do anything else. I really want to open a gym. I got to pay my bills. I got to feed my family. But I don't want to ever stop being your student. I've been thankful for everything you taught me. What do we do? And Cornelius goes, just go over there, call it Gracie Barra, and he continued to be my student. Okay, perfect. And that's how they started. This was in like the 1980s, maybe early 90s. I'm not sure when it started, but my point is they've always been ahead of the curve. Yeah. Right? So now we're following suit. Alliance is following suit. It's just a matter of time before, like, I think Czech Matanatos are making those moves too. It's just a natural tendency of the sport. And students prefer it. That's the thing. Even if they resisted initially, now that we've passed that curve at the gym, students prefer it. They don't have to worry about patches. Like, and they hate that. Like, the patch is the biggest, it's a hassle. No one wants that, man. Yeah. So it's just like you get, and then at the end of the day, you're not spending more money. You're spending the same amount of money you would be buying if you would be buying
online or whatever. Yeah. So it doesn't make that much sense other than wanting to have the freedom of choice, right? That's about it. People, I want to choose my own stuff. I'm like, yeah, why? You're like,
and it's only the old stuff. But jiu-jitsu, one thing that's constant too in any gym is that there's constantly recycling people. As the new ones come in with the new systems, it's normal. They don't complain. They like it. Like parents love it. Parents walk in, man, like you can see. They just like, oh, and not only that, like in other sports too, if you're in hockey or anything you do, you're going to get your kids started in soccer. You're going to have to spend some money on uniforms.
Of course.
That's standard, right?
Yeah.
Parents are expecting it. I remember the first 10 years I had my gym, we didn't have this. Parents would like, with a checkbook in hand, like, oh, how much in uniforms? And I'd be like, we don't have uniforms. They're like, oh, okay, put the checkbook away. He's like, I was ready to write me a check.
Yeah.
But it's just counterproductive. It just doesn't make sense in the long term.
Yeah, and I think getting back to that point, when you're pandering to like an online audience, that's not really going to be your market. It deceives you on what are the right decisions to make.
Yeah.
Right. Like everybody thinks, oh, I remember when I started training, and then we had our own school. I'm like, how do we get the word out? Oh, I have to win a lot of tournaments. That's how people are going to start respecting me. Like, the only people following jiu-jitsu are guys who are already doing jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Those are not the people that you want in your school because they're already doing jiu-jitsu somewhere else.
Yeah.
The amount of people that you're going to be able to poach from other gyms is very slim.
And you gotta fight. You gotta fight for that, man. I agree.
And then the other thing is, if they're able to move from one gym to the other, there's nothing stopping them from moving from your gym to the next one. You know what I mean? So it's not like it's like taking someone's lover away from them. You can't really.
She cheated on you. She's gonna cheat on him. Exactly. She cheated on him. She's gonna cheat on you. Man.
You're gonna have a harder time holding on to that one, right? So you want like a new audience, and those people are not tuned in yet, so they probably don't have a uniform yet or anything like that. So why are they going to care where they get it from?
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's just my opinion. And for like Keenan, like I said,
I think in general, and for the school owner too, it's advantageous because you get rid of the competition. Like when every school like this is like perfectly advantageous. Like why would you want to compete with other people? Like your gym should be a store too.
Yeah.
And people are idealistic when they start because like, oh, it's all about jiu-jitsu. And as soon as the bills start coming, you realize like this doesn't make sense unless I'm making money. And you can't train, you can't teach people unless you're making something yourself. Otherwise, you're just going to do something else, right?
Yeah.
So.
No, so I think for sure. Don't be all hippie with the uniform policy and all of that. Make your own uniform. You have a cool brand already if you're going to do that. The Legion and all that. Might as well design your gis and have people buy those. It's not a big deal. It's a small expense.
But at the same time, even if he changes his mind 10 years from now, people are going to use.
It's too late now.
It's like
it doesn't matter when you do it. It's always going to be the case.